Stanley Cup Finals are set, but is the curse of the President's Trophy real, or are there deeper problems in New York?
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Fucked Up. And it may seem like there's a lot more testosterone here today because Dangerous still got some personal things going on, so hopefully we see her back by next season. And D fucking left us to go to a Taylor Swift concert in Scotland. So I figured, nah, man, I am a Swiftie, and I'm very real about that.
I love you,
But-
D, but T-Swift?
Well, so this brings a fun chance for us to bring in a special guest, and I couldn't think of a better special guest than a friend of LTN Media, is a friend of mine, a fellow streamer, Goss Mall. Mall, buddy, this is the first time we've had you on an LTN property in a good amount of time. I mean, I feel like you've done some community game night stuff with us when we were doing that, but you were on an episode of Less Than Normal in like 2021.
Yeah, I would say we were talking about that the other day, and it's crazy that it's been 3 years. It's like, I kind of reflect back on that, like, where the hell did the time go? It's
Dude, right?
like COVID dragged out in the beginning so long, and then like now you look at it and it's like gone, like 4 years.
Dude,
We're
it's
halfway
nuts.
through 2024.
I know. It's crazy how fast it's going. And like we've even talked about multiple times, we're like, it feels like yesterday we were at the All-Star break. Like
Yeah.
this whole season has flown by, I guess we'll start out a little bit real quick, get to know you. Dude, what's your connection to hockey?
So I'm Canadian born, so hockey's in my blood. I live in the United States, so the golden rule that I like to tell people is in order to maintain my Canadian citizenship, I need to at least uphold the tradition of being a true-blooded hockey fan. My favorite team, I guess we'll start there, is I love the Toronto Maple Leafs. I've been a Maple Leaf fan, and everyone in my family from New Brunswick, diehard Maple Leaf fans. I grew up in Southern Maine, so I'm impartial to the Beantown Bruins. We gotta love the hometown heroes. And I actually, funny enough, went to school with someone who plays on the Pittsburgh Penguins, so I kind of root for them as well. I mean,
And for
at the
those
end of the day,
listening, who's that player?
Brian Dumoulin.
That
I
is-
was a freshman when he was a senior.
That is so fucking cool.
Yeah, so getting to watch him play high school hockey and bring the state championship to us year and year again was phenomenal. It was a treat. It was awesome. So, hockey's been in my blood.
We do love we love Dumoulin. And you're a fellow New Englander.
Yep.
I mean, we joke about how we're literally like a fucking train ride away.
Spitting distance, pretty much.
Pretty much, dude. Maine and Connecticut really aren't that far from each other in reality. Yeah, dude. I'm super excited to have you on. We have been doing a lot of chatting, both in the LTN server and out of the LTN server about hockey. So I'm super hyped to get into this with you. I guess.
And honestly, I feel like this is the best time to get into it because honestly, this season has been a roller coaster, and especially like the last couple games of the cup has been phenomenal.
Oh, it has. Oh, yeah. I mean, look at the fucking teams, and we'll get into this in a bit, but like, look at one of the teams that's in it. We were like, at the beginning of the season, like, what's going on here?
Not even contender.
Yeah, for real. I guess let's start it off with our normal shout out to the ladies, the PWHL. They are in their off season now. Let's go over the 3 stars of the week, which were for last week. Your third star for the week was Taylor Heisey, a center for PWHL Minnesota. Heisey recorded 3 points, a goal, and 2 assists in an historic week for the Walter Cup champion Minnesota. She finished the postseason tied for first in points with 5 goals, 3 assists, leading to her being voted first ever. Forgive me if I butcher this. Lana Cross playoff MVP winner In Game 3, Heisey put up her third multi-point effort of the playoffs with a goal and an assist in a 4-1 win. The rookie forward opened the scoring just 59 seconds into the game, the fastest opening goal recorded in the PWHL playoffs. The goal was her fifth of the postseason, a number that stood as most scored of any player in the playoffs and surpassed her regular season total of 4 in 19 games. Heisey also recorded the lone assist on the Michaela Kava's insurance marker in the third period. Wow, D, I don't know how you do this every week. In Game 5, she once again connected with Kava and with another third period assist. Second star is Michaela Kava, center for, and I also apologize, Michaela, if I'm butchering your last name. But center with PWHL Minnesota. Kava led all skaters in scoring with 5 points, 3 goals, 2 assists in the in the final 4 games of the PWHL finals presented by Scotiabank. In game 2, Kava opened the scoring with the goal that stood as the game winner in a key 3-0 victory that even the series at one victory apiece. In game 3, Kava provided a primary assist on the game's opening goal and added the insurance marker in the third period en route to a 4-1 Minnesota victory and a crucial 2-1 series lead. After Boston tied the series 2-2, Kava once again provided an offensive spark for Minnesota, putting up another pair of points, a goal and an assist in game 5, including a tally in the third period that gave her team a critical 2-0 lead. Thanks to her scoring output in the final 4 games of the PWHL finals, Kava moved into a tie with teammate Taylor Heisey atop the playoff scoring leaderboard, finishing the postseason with 8 points. And your first star is Nicole Hensley, goalie for PWHL Minnesota. Hensley backstopped Minnesota to the first ever Walter Cup in the thrilling series against Boston. In 4 games, Hensley had a save percentage of .978, a goals against average of 0.43, and 3 key victories atop the championship, or to three key victories on the way to the championship. I apologize, guys. I can't read. The goaltender allowed just 2 goals through her 4 starts and posted 2 shutouts, tying her for the postseason lead in the category. Hensley's lone loss last week came in double overtime in Game 4, in which she made 32 saves, a personal high during the playoffs.
That's
In
crazy
the
to think about.
Oh my god, yeah. In the winner-take-all Game 5 of the PWHL Finals presented by Scotiabank, Hensley shut the door with a 17-save performance, earning her second shutout of the series to lead her team to a 3-0 victory on the road as Minnesota became the first team to lift the Walter Cup. Dude, we said it before and we said it again. I'll say it again now. PWHL, I, I I just can't give them enough credit for the incredible season that they pulled off. All of the social media hype, all of the records that were broken. Um, we here at Pucked Up obviously talk about our massive support of women's hockey and women's sports. So we will, as always, continue to talk about the lovely ladies of the PWHL. And next Monday is their draft. There is a chance you will see us do a little live thing, or maybe see my face do a little live thing. Not quite sure yet, but we will keep you posted on that. Let's move into the NHL side. And we'll start off with some craziness that came out yesterday. The Devils are open to trading the number 10 pick in the 2024 draft. Um, Realistically, what they say is they're looking for a goalie. Last year they allowed 3.43 goals per game. That was their goals against average this season, missing the playoffs.
That's rough.
Um, What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think that based on, statistics alone, they're desperately in need of a goalie. Um, the 10th pick for a goalie, we've seen crazier things in prior drafts, but I definitely think that there are a lot of goalies out there that aren't being played because they are in the shadow of another great goalie. So I think this is a good opportunity for someone to kind of step out of the shadow and get into a point where they can make a difference in not only a franchise but a team and bring them back from such a deficit. I
Right.
think that we have an opportunity to see someone who's a backup goalie have their time to shine and kind of this is it. This is their moment. This is going to be their legacy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, fucking Vegas has like 12 goaltenders that could easily start.
Right. I mean, look
Listen,
look at how many of the teams that are in the cup playoffs right now that aren't even using their secondary goalies, you
well, when you
know?
have when in the conference finals you had four of the top goaltenders in the league doing battle, you don't
Right.
need your backup.
No, and
Listen,
it's like
yeah,
it's and it sucks because like I feel like the goalie is very comparable to like the starting quarterback position for the NFL, right?
yeah,
Like your backup almost never gets the opportunity to go out there because it's such a like a protected position where the goalies have the ability to not get burnt out and have that little bit more of a longevity because they're not skating up and down the ice so they
yeah.
can last longer, and you don't get to see those second and third string goalies get to play at. So this may be a good opportunity for one of them to step out if their contract's expiring, or maybe an up and comer from college to step up and kind of take the big leagues by the horns, you know?
I mean, listen, it was so bad in New Jersey that they have since 2020 they have had 12 different goalies play at least one game, including them trading Vitek Vanacek to the San Jose Sharks for Timo Meyer. Mackenzie Blackwood, I don't know if his contract is up. Oh, that's right. He also got fucking traded. So, um, look, they just brought in Sheldon Keefe, who was just obviously fired from Toronto. Uh, you got to do something because we were talking last season how they were a dark horse to make a deep cup run. And then you go this year, you upgrade your offensive power, and a guy like Jack Hughes just only continues to get better, and you can't even make the fucking playoffs. Like 3.3 as a goals against average for a team, 3.43 is fucking unacceptable.
So, based on that statistic alone, though, like going back to like them playing 12 goalies since you said when was that
2020,
2010? 2020.
2020.
Okay, in
That's 4
4 years they've played
years.
12 goalies. Okay, now that right there opened up the can of worms. There's more than just a player skill problem there with the goalies. You need to look at your coaches. You need to look at your defensive line.
I was
You
just
know,
gonna say you
you
need to look at your
yeah,
defense.
you need to give that goalie the support because you look at this list. I'm looking at a list of the different goalies that have played over the past 4 years, and these are some really talented players.
Yeah.
That had really good college careers, which obviously that's how they got into the NHL, and they're just being left wide open.
Yeah, it's
The
this
problem. I
is
don't think the problem's the goalie. I think it's the franchise, and they need to look at it as a
yeah.
whole.
Well, I mean, that's the biggest thing is all of these things that they've made since they obviously were eliminated from the playoffs, firing their coach. I am pretty sure that they've got a new GM as well. Um, so obviously taking care of the internal stuff is big. Um, and like we talked about a couple weeks ago, we kind of think that Sheldon Keefe's coaching style might work a little better in New Jersey as opposed to Toronto. Um, there's some listen. I could have a fucking conversation for 2 days on how to fix the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Hey, hey, hey! Look,
Listen, I'm out here just trying to help, but
I'm saying is the Leafs have come a really long way. The last couple of years, they've had a very green team. and it showed this year when they were able to get to the first round of the cup. The issue is they all of a sudden remembered that in hockey you can fight and you can be a physical team, and they focus more on beating up the Bruins and punching Marchand than actually getting goals. And when they
Yeah,
were like, "Oh my God, this is a hockey game and we actually need to play hockey,"
dude,
it was
right?
too little, too late. You know.
It's our running joke on here that our favorite pastime every year is watching the Maple Leafs lose in the first round.
I mean,
um,
honestly, it's mine too because it's like they do so good, they get there and then they choke.
I'm just sitting here looking at, who I could see hopping on this
No, because I
trade?
can't see your screen.
No, but you know who I could see popping on up on this trade
Who? Who's
is
going to take the 10th round pick?
Anaheim,
Pick? You think so?
because Anaheim. Listen, you will have all heard me bitching all year about my Ducks and how fucking awful they are. I think we're at a point where John Gibson wants out and he wants to go somewhere where at least the rest of his career isn't utter shit. So I could see them going after the 10th overall to try to get better because again, how many seasons can you finish at the fucking bottom, you know? I could see them jumping on it. I could see Vegas jumping on it. They got fucking embarrassed as the defending Stanley Cup champions, getting knocked out first round. Um,
I was surprised to see how bad they got beat.
it was. I mean, it was a good series. The problem was puck bounces, man. Sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes you don't. You know.
Well, and I mean, like, they didn't get, like, steamrolled, but it was bad because it's like the last few years, Vegas has had quality. Every
Yeah.
single game, those guys get on the ice, they're giving quality, they're putting their heart, they're putting their soul in it, they're putting everything into that game.
Look at the moves that they made at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and then all
They
of a
they
sudden they get to the playoffs and they start making all these errors,
yeah,
and all of a sudden, like, basic fundamental principle of passing goes out the window.
and like no disrespect to the Dallas Stars, like they are look at how far they made it. And Jake
I
Ottinger is one of the
never in a
best.
million years would have thought that.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, no, see they were on fire all season.
no,
Um
I didn't think they had it in them to go as far as they did. And then when I saw their matchup against Vegas, I was like,
I picked
they're
Vegas at
gonna
the
get
beginning of the
plowed. But
season to go all the way. That was my
you
pick, was
know,
for them to go back to back.
well, you were
That
close.
yeah, no, I was wrong. Uh, um some other news that just came out today, Joe Pavelski says he does not intend to play in 2024-2025. The Stars forward has played 18 seasons in the NHL, ranks 5th in goals among active players. Obviously, notably spent the majority of his career as a San Jose Shark. Um, are you surprised by this?
I mean, a little, because I kind of feel like he was starting to get traction with his career, and he finally got with like a decent team. Nothing against the Sharks, okay?
Oh,
Nothing
I mean,
against
he
them,
was with the
but
Sharks when they were good. Like,
right.
obviously, he was a pivotal part of them making the Stanley Cup Finals a few years ago. Like,
But it's
it.
like it's hard because like you and I are at that age where it's like we're at that weird point with hockey players
I watched
where
Joe Pavelski's whole
we
fucking career, dude.
exactly, and that's what I'm saying is like all of the guys that we've gotten to watch like their whole careers, they're now starting to retire.
I know.
And I don't know about you, I'm getting gray hair just thinking about it. I'm like, damn, are we getting that old? Like
Motherfucker,
now
I'm
our play
bald.
okay, fair, but that's by choice. I've seen your shaver.
That's fair. That's fair.
Um, but it's like it's at that weird age where it's like, do we want them to keep playing because it's like it's impartial to like our lives
I
as
mean,
hockey fans, or is it because
he's
they have the skill to keep going?
spent his last 5 seasons, counting this one with Dallas, 1,300 over 1,300 career games. He is a member of the 1,000 Point Club. He's obviously represented the U.S. in several occasions. Multi-time All-Star. I don't think anyone can take anything away from Joe Pavelski's fucking stellar career. To play to play two to play 18 years and only play for two teams nowadays is really rare. It's rare to see one team, but it's like rare to see two. So, dude, I get it. I get it. He's 39. The NHL is
40.
a totally different
40.
game. No, his birthday's in July. He's 39.
Is it?
Mhm.
Hold on. Hold on. I just read that. Hold on.
Mm,
Oh,
yeah.
who will turn 40? Okay. I mean,
Yeah, so
dude,
he'll
he's a
be
month
40 in
away.
July. Yeah, but still, like I wonder for him if it's mainly just getting so close and losing each time to the cup. Like he's never won a cup. I wonder if that's gonna weigh in on it. I wonder how much toll this has taken on his body. 1,300 games in the NHL is
So if you look at it, he is,
crazy.
as of in the 2023-2024 season, he's the second oldest player.
Yeah, and I believe is his contract up this year. Let me check on that.
The oldest is Mark Giordano
Mark
of the
Giordano.
Maple Leafs. Yeah, who's
Yeah,
40 years old. Other than
yeah.
that, everyone else below him is all 38 years old. So it's
He's
close, but I mean, he's one of the older players. So it's like,
he's also a free agent at
do you
39 years
think
old.
that?
Granted, yes, it's still Joe Pavelski, but I wonder if maybe there's a shot that he doesn't get re-signed.
I mean, do you think that that may be him kind of saying, "I want to go out my way and not"?
You go out your final season making the Western Conference Finals. I,
Yeah.
I can't really say that there's a bad way. The only other way to go out would probably be to win it. But I mean, listen, you can't win them all. It's fine. It happens. But like
Well, and to think about it, I mean, like you just said, like this is him going out and on his terms, because like imagine like how defeating that would be if now that he's a free agent, if he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get drafted, and then nothing happens,
yeah,
no,
he gets
nothing,
picked up by someone, and he just you never
or
want to
no
be a
one,
shadow of your former self.
right?
So why not
And
go
we
out
see this
on top?
and we see this every year when certain teams can make it to those milestones and they don't foresee them having the stamina or the ability to do it again next year. They're like, hey, I'm gonna go out my way, I'm gonna go out on a high,
Yeah,
and that way I can just step back gracefully, bow out, and that's it. I had a good career. I mean, just the fact that he's in the 1,000 point club, like that's an achievement in itself.
yeah. No, it really is. If Pavelski does officially hang it up, thank you for 18 years of highlights, man. I'm not a Sharks fan, and I hated to watch him play against the Ducks, but like I loved watching him play. So, if he does retire, we all wish you the best in your retirement. And if you decide you want to come back, well, fucking let's see if we can actually get you that cup.
Think
Speaking
it'll
of,
be cool to see what he's going to do after retirement. Like, what is
well, I
he?
mean,
Because obviously, I mean,
look at
almost 20
Subban and
years.
all these
Yeah.
guys that are going into broadcasting and then getting into front office stuff.
Yep. I mean, he's perfect age and perfect experience level. He could go into coaching.
Oh yeah. I
I
mean, look
mean,
at Marty
this
St.
is
Louis, who's been
right.
the coach of the fucking Montreal Canadiens for a couple years now.
Didn't Toronto just hire a former player as their coach?
Craig Berube, yeah, who
Yeah.
played
So it's
for the
like,
Toronto Maple Leafs.
right. So it's like that he is in a perfect position where it's like now it's time to shift to a less strenuous position with probably
Maybe.
decent pay raise,
Yeah.
hopefully,
I
maybe. I
mean,
don't
I'd
know
also
how
love to see
it
him take
goes.
the route of like Subban and a lot of those guys and maybe jump in as an analyst in some sense for broadcasting. I think that would be excellent as well. Someone of his wealth and knowledge. I mean, Hendrik Lundqvist is
So,
doing it now. Like you get the guys that are students of the game to talk about the game.
yeah. I mean, at
Um,
18 years, you're a master. You know what you're talking about.
yeah,
You know, you just have so much knowledge that you would bring to the table that someone who's never played the game or who just watches it doesn't have.
Right. No, I agree. Speaking of other players that are unsure of their future, Blake Wheeler of the New Jer- New York Rangers. There we go. He is undecided about his future. He is 37. He is a free agent at the end of the season. Spent almost his entire career with the Winnipeg Jets. Was drafted by the Boston Bruins. Played a couple years there. Um, 1100 career games. He is like 60 points shy of hitting 1,000 points for his career. Dude, I get it. This is the first time since 2010, 2011 that he's played on a 1-year contract.
Yeah. And I mean, 37. I mean, that's backpedaling to the age thing. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, does he still have it in him? I mean, because how many regular season games are there for hockey?
82.
Yeah, right. 82. Like it. I mean, we literally talked about this the other day of just how mind-boggling it is that these men suit up all over 2 countries, 82 times minimum
Right.
to play this game.
Yeah.
That's gotta take out so much on you.
Dude, I just like it's one of those things where it's got to be hard to see for these older players to realize that the game has changed in such a way that it's hard to be at the top of your game. Like, look at Crosby. Look at who had Crosby had a pretty much career year. Look at Ovechkin's numbers that he's still posting. It's like it's crazy to look at those guys who feel ageless when your players like I'm sorry, he wasn't drafted by the Bruins. He was drafted by the Coyotes, fifth overall in 2004. Um, but it's got to be tough to be these guys like the Blake Wheelers, the Joe Pavelskis, Mark Giordano, Mark Andre Fleury, guys that are in the league. He's also another one who seems to be ageless, but guys that are like coming to the end of the road, and it's like when is it time? Uh, and
Well,
again,
and when do you do it at the right time, right? Because that's the key
yeah,
factor. Is like it goes back to like going out on
terms,
your way.
yeah,
You want to go out on your terms and not do something that's going to be like, do I come back one more season and then I sit on the bench the whole season and that kills my legacy? That's a huge thing for these players.
yeah, and I mean, obviously, he dealt with injury this year, which didn't help him much at all. So I get it. I think that I think that it's time. He's got 3 children. Like I feel like that's gonna also play a factor in his family stuff. Like these guys are gone for a big portion of the year. So I'm curious to see what Blake does as well. I feel like this is a move that might be the best for him. Again, we will be discussing the Rangers soon, but I think it's that time to talk about the Stanley Cup Finals are officially set. We have our matchups. The Edmonton Oilers will face the Florida Panthers. I just want to say shout out to D. Her and I predicted this correctly.
Yeah,
I honestly, I'm gonna be real. I expected both of these series to go 7,
really.
and neither of them did.
They went to 6. It was
They went to
close.
6.
It was close.
All right, what before we move into our picks and stuff and like thoughts of the finals, what were your thoughts on the conference finals as a whole?
Honestly, I think that they both like game 1 and game 2 were fire.
Hmm.
They got there, they gave it their all, they were fighting, they were battles. They were out there and they were going to war against each other.
Oh yeah,
And
it
then
was
game
nuts.
3, 4, 5, and 6, you saw it drastically taper off. Where the teams that ended up losing, Dallas and the Rangers, you could see that they slowly started getting tired and they slowly started making more errors or they would play really good in the beginning of the game, but really bad at the end of the game, or the opposite. They would suck at the start, and then all of a sudden they'd come back. Like, look at Dallas and Edmonton. They had one game where they had no goals, and then all of a sudden they put 5 on the board.
I mean, and Dallas took a quick 2-1 series lead there.
Yeah,
But that was a lot more of a high scoring offensive output to win games. Only one of those games was decided by, I'm sorry, two of those games were decided by one goal. One of them took 2 overtimes. But I mean, game 2 was 3-1 victory for Dallas. Dallas won game 3 5-3. Edmonton won 5-2. Game 4, Edmonton won 3-1 game 5. Like, it was very much so the battle of who could score more goals and whose defense could hold up. The Eastern Conference Finals, 3 of those fucking games went to overtime. 3.
that was phenomenal. I mean, as a spectator, you want to see that. You
Oh,
want
yeah.
to see them continue to do that. But it got to the point where it's like they're starting to run out of steam. I mean, you think about it, when you enter the run-in for the Stanley Cup, you're playing a potential of what? 7, 14, 20, 28 more games.
Yeah.
That's
Five-
a lot on the 82 that
5
they already
games
play.
for the Rangers. 5 in this playoffs went to overtime. 2 with the Carolina Hurricanes, and then obviously 3 with the Panthers. Like, there's a lot to be said about tough battles.
And a lot of these games came down to the penalties.
Oh yeah,
The
special
players
teams.
and players were making reckless plays that got them a penalty, and then all of a sudden the whole momentum of the game switched because they got a. I mean, wait, hold on. There was one game. It was Dallas versus Edmonton. Oh, I want to say it was in game 4 when Dallas was down and they had the power play advantage.
Yeah.
And got a goal scored on them.
Yeah, Edmonton scored a shorthanded goal.
And you're just like, how? Like, that's the type of errors where it's like, you made it to the Stanley Cup, the conference finals. Like, you shouldn't be making those mistakes.
Right. Yeah, that's the big thing, and really that was, I think ultimately was gonna like decide all of this is who was going to make the least amount of mistakes, because regardless, these 4 teams, any matchup would have been spectacular. Like, there would not have been a loser in this for the fans when it came to matchups. But I feel Florida versus Edmonton. I feel like this is the matchup that we need. You've got Connor McDavid trying to break a 30 plus year drought for not only a Canadian team, but for the
31.
Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah. If they lose this, it'll be 31 seasons since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. And I mean, think about the last Stanley Cup that they won was in 1989, 1990. So it's been even longer since the Oilers won. And the last time they haven't won a Stanley Cup. Oh no, this will be the second time that they won a Stanley Cup without Wayne Gretzky. So it's been crazy, and we've talked about it nausea here. Like, Connor McDavid, we have said should leave Edmonton because we've never thought that they were going to be good enough to win it all. I mean, I predicted it last year, and obviously we saw when you have 4 players have 100-point season. Like,
Right.
we all expected, but they fell apart in the playoffs. This year was the complete opposite. When it came to Edmonton, started off like dog shit. Like, we discussed that we were like, they need to pick it up, or we're going to talk about how they don't even make the playoffs and they end up towards the bottom. They obviously got it started. They figured it out. And then watching them go on this fucking crazy run in the playoffs and just being one of the best teams. Whereas the Florida Panthers have something to prove because they were embarrassed in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. They lost in 5
And,
games.
and you know what was funny? The thing that they did last year that they didn't do this year, and there's a picture. I'll have to find it and send it to you. That makes me laugh. Last year, they touched the President's Cup trophy. They were
They
all
did
holding
touch
it.
the President's
They were
Trophy
all holding
last
it
year.
today or this year. They were so far away from it. I'm like, you guys scared you're gonna catch something from that?
Well,
It was, and
that's
the two photo comparisons side by side. It's like a drastic difference, and you're like, you can tell that they now believe in the superstition of that, and they're not going anywhere near that.
I mean, think about what happened last year. It's like they weren't even supposed to fucking be there. They showed up as the 8 seed basically and beat the President's Trophy. Not only did they beat the President's Trophy winner, the Boston Bruins had the best statistical season in the history of the NHL, and then they just fell apart, which is par for the course for them in the playoffs. I mean, then what do the Panthers do? They go out, make that team better. You add players like Vladimir Tarasenko, um, and then they go for it. Sergei Bobrovsky is putting up numbers like he did when he was with Columbus, finally earning that $10 million a year. Um, no one is sleeping on Sam Reinhart anymore. That dude has gone off this season. Like they have something to prove this year. Um, they have a lot to prove, and I think this is best case scenario for this matchup.
I just posted a video in the chat so you could see like
Oh yeah, seeing them
how
not touch the Prince of Wales trophy.
how far they are away from that. They're like, there's no way in hell we're going anywhere near that. Nope.
Listen, as
Nope.
someone who played hockey, players are fucking very superstitious. So
Well, and it was funny because as they were winning it and going up to it, you saw the captains screaming, "Don't touch it! Don't touch
well,
it!
that's what
Don't touch
Barkov
it!"
said. He said in an interview, he goes, "Yeah, coach told me last year not to touch it, but I didn't listen." um,
Uh,
dude, you've got the battle of two great teams here.
yeah,
What's
I think that this is going to be a hell of a playoff.
I think if we're gonna crown a champion, this is best case scenario. Um, give me your prediction. What do you think? Who takes it?
It's hard. It's really really hard, but I think if you have to go off consistency, I think that Florida has the consistency. I mean, if you look at um, every round of the cup that they've played, they have created space in between the teams with wins. Like, when they went against the Tampa Bay Lightnings, it was 4-1. Bruins 4-2.
Dude, they beat the
Rangers four to
shit
two.
out of the fucking Lightning.
Yeah, and then if you go to the other side and you look at Edmonton,
They had
Edmonton came
dogfights.
out of the they came out of the gate running against LA 4-1. Like what? Like
Yeah.
crazy. And then they struggled with Vancouver. And then
Vancouver is also a top team. Like Vancouver,
yeah.
it was that series I fully believed could have gone either way. Like the
Oh yeah.
Canucks, if Thatcher Demko was healthy for the entirety of that series, I
It
think
could
we'd
have
be
gone the other way.
talking. I think we'd be talking about Vancouver going up against Dallas.
And the fact that that went to game 7 was awesome to see because that shows the level of athleticism that Edmonton has and the and the ability that they have to come together as a team
Yeah.
to pull it through. And then they steamrolled Dallas.
Well, I mean, it
I mean,
also I give props a lot here with Vancouver. Listen, they turned it the fuck around from last year. They were terrible last year. Obviously, the whole nonsense with the coaching stuff and Bruce Boudreau being treated terribly, them trying to right that ship, and then them being literally the number one team in the league for a good portion of the season. You guys like Brock Besser, who had like career seasons. I think they absolutely deserved every bit of where they got. But like yeah, like you said, the consistency has really been there for Edmonton, and they've listen. The Dallas Stars are no joke. Jake Ottinger is one of the best goalies in the league. You have Jason Robertson, who's also one of the best scorers. Tyler Sagan, who's looked great. Um, I think I would have been happy either way, but
To me, like, looking at like the playoff sheet and looking at how many of it went to game 7.
yeah,
How many of the games went to game 7? It's like you look at it and both of the teams, every team that did it, like, did a phenomenal job, and it's like it could have gone either way, but it was those small minute details of those errors or pulling a goalie too early or something dumb that cost them the series. And when it comes down to Edmonton and Florida, watching them over the course of the season and the playoffs, I think that Edmonton may take it. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Canadian. I really want the cup to come home. But I think for errors overall, I think that they have less penalties. And I think that this
yeah,
series is going to come down to whoever can get the less penalties and put their team at a disadvantage.
right. So who's your official pick and how many games?
So I think it's going to go to Edmonton, and I think they're
Okay,
going to get it at game 6. So I think it's
all
going to go to
right.
6.
Um,
I would
we
love to
have,
see it go to 7, but I think it's going
but
to go to
think it's gonna
6.
go 6. All right. Well, D has given me her pick to throw in while she is away. She's taken the Panthers in 6.
Okay. Complete opposite. I see.
um I am looking at I'm looking at the scoring sheet right here. The stats, the points. Um your top 5 is 4 Edmonton Oilers players. Um when it comes to goals against average, I'm not really liking Skinner's goals against average. He does have Bobrovsky has an edge on him there. Um this is so tough. I was thinking about this on my way home from work today. I was like, I haven't even thought about who I'm going to pick
How have you not thought about it yet?
because it's like there's so much happening. Like there's so much to dissect with this whole thing. I I picked them last year to win it all. And they came up short and lost in the first round. I am going to pick the Edmonton Oilers to finally break the streak. I think it goes 7.
7. Okay. I
I
see.
think
I
it goes
wanted to go
7.
7, but I feel like these players are both exhausted. And speaking of exhaustion, this is my segue into it. You know where I'm going.
Uh-huh.
This series is setting a record for the furthest distance between two arenas in NHL Stanley Cup history. They are going, and I have the exact thing here. The distance between the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers, where they play, now this is just the distance between the two arenas, is 2,541 miles.
That's nuts.
This beats the previous record, which was in 2010 to 2011 when it was
Yeah.
the Vancouver Canucks versus the Boston Bruins.
Yep.
And that distance was 2,499.8 miles. So this is over 50 miles further than that. And I
Right.
think based on the numbers, this is the worst case scenario for distance. Like, you can't get two
Oh
teams that
yeah.
are further away from each other.
Right.
And it's like, that is why the schedule is going to be so spread out. Like the NHL has been like, this is a lot of traveling, you poor bastards. So we're going to give you a lot of compensation for that. So you're going to see a lot of space in between the games, specifically for the travel,
Well,
so the
I
players can
mean,
get accustomed to it.
it's funny you say that because the gap between games 1 and or games 2 and 3, um game 2 is next Monday the 10th. Game 3 is June 13th.
Yeah.
And then
So
between game 4 and 5, if 5 is needed, game 4 is Saturday, June 15th. Game 5 would be Tuesday, June 18th. And the
I'm
gap,
glad that they're
there's like a
doing this.
3-day gap in between.
I'm glad that they're doing that because not only are the players going to have to battle the travel,
Yeah.
but they're on opposite ends of the countries.
Different time
So the
zones.
time difference is
Yeah.
going to kill them.
Mhm.
And I think that the NHL made a really good call, kind of spreading it out as much as they can without going
Yeah.
too much, because you're going to allow the players to recover, you're
Yeah.
going to allow them to adapt, and you're going to allow them to put on hell of a game every single time they step onto that ice.
Right.
And with that, I think as much as I predict that it's going to go to game 6, with that it could go to game 7 because of how well rested they're going to be. So at this point, it's up to the players to just make sure they take care of themselves in between travel, and
Mhm.
we're going to have a hell of a cut.
Yeah. Um, I think it's going to be a really high scoring game. You have two really high powered offenses. I think the goalies are going to block more shots than you'd think they're going to. Um, it's it's going to be a wild series. You can catch that considering this is going up on a Friday morning. You can catch that tomorrow night. First game is June 8th at 8 p.m. That'll be across ABC, ESPN Plus, and for my Canadian viewers, Sportsnet CBC on TVA Sports. So that is, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Um,
And
I
I'm looking
do,
forward to it.
I do, however, want to move to our question of the week. The President's Trophy winners, the New York Rangers, did get beat in the or Eastern Conference Finals. This tends to be a thing for them the past few years. After another hard defeat in the playoffs, what do the Rangers need to do to win another cup?
That's a good question. I think the biggest thing they need to do is focus on the game, review what they're doing, fix the errors, and just go back to the basics. What I feel like they're doing and they're consistently getting caught up in is they have a great season because, the regular season's the regular season, so everyone gets used to it. But then when they get to the pressure of competing for a cup and everything that comes with that, I think that they get too stressed and anxious and they lose focus on the game. Like the game itself isn't changing.
Right.
Hockey is hockey no matter where you play it, whether it's a pond or in an arena.
Yeah.
But or on Hadlock Field where the Red Sox are, but not Hadlock Field, Fenway Park. Sorry,
There you
I
go.
was just looking at something from the local team. Anyway, um, I think it comes down to the pressure of competing for the prestigious trophies and the cups that
Right.
they're going for. I think that they're getting in their head, and that's affecting them. I mean, and they have a lot of younger players, don't they?
I mean, it's a mixture. It's a mixture. I mean, here's a couple stats I want to throw at you. Their power play percentage, 26.4%. Their penalty kill, 84.5. Their goals against average per game is 2.76. There's a couple things that stand out to me, especially watching the playoffs. Special teams. Special teams is a massive problem. If you cannot score in a power play, you need to seriously look at your lines. You need to seriously look at your just special teams design overall. They give up a lot of goals. It has nothing to do with Igor Shesterkin. Igor Shesterkin is a top 10 goalie, top 5 goalie in the NHL. The problem that lies in with the Rangers is their inconsistent defense. There, you can have the best goalie in the league, but if you're giving up massive amounts of offensive opportunities on defense, guess what? Someone's going to score at some point. Shesterkin's not going to be able to block everything. And that is also, I think, what hurt the Stars. The inconsistency on special teams and just lack of defensive ability. I mean, there's no shortage of talent on this team. I mean,
And look at the Stars. I mean, their goalie, he's a powerhouse when it comes to blocking shots.
Yeah.
I think the last game he blocked like 60 shots before he let a goal.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like he has a high average of that. And it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show is if the team is struggling that bad in certain areas, you need to look at the bigger picture of like how can we as an organization fix this? Because it's
Right.
an organizational problem if they're having these errors.
Oh no, I agree. I mean, Artemi Panarin had a 120-point season this year. He had 49 goals, 71 assists. Trocheck had 77 points. Chris Kreider had 75. Adam Fox had 73. Mika Zibanejad 72. Alexis Lafreniere finally showed up. 57 points this season. Like, the scoring is not the problem. The problem here is is the lack of help for Igor Shesterkin. You can have a massive, like, their points per game like is 3.39. That's pretty high. But like your goals against average should not be as high as your goals for. That feels a little like suspect. Like if I look at those stats and I know nothing about hockey or nothing about the Rangers, I'd look at those stats and be like, are those numbers supposed to be that close together?
Yeah.
If so,
And
why are they so close together? Like, if
mhm,
not, and I mean, that could come down to a lot of things. That can come down to coaching. That could come down to like stylistically how they're playing. It could come down to chemistries on their line. I feel like that needs to be addressed. Like, you have guys like Jacob Trouba who are out there trying to fucking kill players in the playoffs. Like, if Martin Necas didn't duck in the series in the second round series, Trouba came flying at him, leading with his elbow, WWE style, and then gets himself a fine in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, your players need more discipline, and they need to produce where it matters. And I think that's really the key. And the question now is, what's Shesterkin's future look like?
right.
He's coming
Because
up on a contract year,
I
you
mean,
know.
there's a lot that you can do when you have the skill that he does. And, too many people in this game let the goalie take a lot more than he should.
His
You
record
know,
was 36-17-2 this season. But his save percentage was .913. He gave a 2.58 goals against average. That's not great for a guy who wins a lot. When it comes to a situation like this, it puts your team in a box where you need to, if your defense is not going to hold up to help you limit goals against, you better be pumping out 6 fucking goals a game on offense, because you're
right?
going to give up at least 2 or 3 depending on the team. And that ultimately was the downfall for them, because the difference between the Rangers and the Florida Panthers is that defense, while sometimes shows that lack of inconsistency, overall that team's well-rounded enough that any weaknesses that they had in defense don't show, because Sergei Bobrovsky had one of the best fucking seasons he's ever had, posting
Well, and
numbers when he won the Vezina.
I think we also need players to look at like other teams and other players and see what they're doing that's good and that works for them. Is like, the to me the best play of the whole series, the whole cup so far has been Jordan Martinook with
Oh
that
my god,
save.
Martinook with
You
the
know,
stick in the net last second popping it out. That's
like, can we
commitment.
talk about how that right there is you're showing your goalie that you're there for them and you're going to cover them at every chance that you get. That's putting your body on the line for the sport. Now, I'm
Yeah.
not saying go out and get hurt or do anything wild
No,
and
but
crazy, but
that's
that
what it takes to
save,
win a cup. That's what it takes to win a cup.
that player, Martinook, now has the respect of everyone in the franchise,
Oh
and
yeah.
that goalie is going to
Respect
do
from the
everything he
league,
can to
dude.
Yeah, and that goalie is going to do everything he can to protect that player if he needs to.
Uh,
We
dude,
need more players that are willing to do that, willing to put themselves in place of the goalie,
yeah.
because stick handling and puck skills have drastically changed these last 4 or 5 years. You look at players doing these crazy trick shots where I'm trying to think of the player who picked up the stick, put it around, and put it right in the top. Didn't even touch the ice.
Oh, Trevor Zegras, yeah, the
Yeah,
Michigan, he does that shit all
look
the time.
look at that level of athleticism.
Yeah.
How can goalies defend against that?
Do you know what
You
else
need your
hurts?
players to watch your back.
Yeah. Well, you know what else hurts your team? When you take a lot of penalty minutes. The Rangers have 7 players above 40 fucking penalty minutes. That hurts massively. When it comes to like top scoring defensive players, Adam Fox is a plus minus of plus 21. Eric Gustafson has a plus minus of 3. Keandre Miller, other defenseman, plus 5. Jacob Truva has a plus minus of minus 4. That is not good. When your defense is on the ice and they're giving up goals, that's not a great look. I
Right.
think I think that's the main thing they're going to address this offseason. And listen, the Rangers need to figure it the fuck out because you can't keep getting that close and just choking it away
Every single time.
every time.
Because
Um,
they're going to end up becoming the Cowboys of the NHL.
or the, you know, I don't want to always shit on the Maple Leafs, but the Maple Leafs, like
Hey,
they get,
okay,
but
so
it's true they get there in the first round and they fall apart.
which is true,
It's
but
just how
if
it
you look
goes,
at
and that's a team we've talked about in depth as well about things that they can do to get better.
I mean, and they have the ability to. I mean, they're
Look at
what, number 2 or number 3 for overall Stanley Cup wins in
yeah,
history?
but they also haven't won a Stanley Cup since like 1963.
Long time. It's been a
So,
long
or 1969. So,
it's been a
yeah,
long time.
dude, like it's easy to win cups when there are 6 teams.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. If you guys want to give us your questions of the week, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments. Also, let us know in the comments what you think is going to help the Rangers going forward. Moving on to injury reports, there are none.
Surprise, we're in playoffs and not a lot of teams
There,
playing means there's not a
there
lot of
is
injuries.
this the fastest fucking injury report.
Woo!
Um, yeah, it's been real nice.
I mean, the only thing that's been hurt this last week is egos, but that's,
Everyone's egos. Um, Also, I do want to give a shout out to Igor Shesterkin. In a press conference, someone asked him his question about his contract and his long-term future with the Rangers, and his response, "I don't speak English." I was like, dude, what a fucking legend! Shout out to Igor. That's so brilliant.
savage, dude. I
Oh
love
my
it.
god. Well, I guess now it is time to round out the show with our favorite segment, the Obscure NHL Player of the Week. Gotta get the fucking reggae horn in.
Love it.
um, this player this week is Jordan Samuels Thomas. Um, this is actually kind of the reason I picked him. Born May 28th, 1990 in West Hartford, Connecticut. CT boy. Uh, Played for Bowling Green, then transferred to Quinnipiac University. Played Connecticut college hockey. He was drafted 203rd overall in 2009 by the Atlanta Thrashers. Can you take a guess at what's special about this player?
Mm, I have no idea. I can't think of anything.
He never played a goddamn game in the NHL.
Can you imagine? How much is his contract for?
Hey, dude, it's
How much did he get paid to be a bench warmer?
I don't
Because I
know.
envy him.
Yeah, I mean,
Envy the hell out of him.
he spent almost his entire career down in the AHL. He spent let's see, he played 3 seasons in the USHL, which is the American equivalent to the CHL. Spent all 4 years in college, 2 at Bowling Green State, and then his last 2 where he transferred to Quinnipiac University. Played for 3 different AHL teams as well as spending time in the ECHL and looks like the Danish league or the Dutch league or I'm sorry, the German league, Czech league, he the ice hockey league. So he played a lot of time in Europe. Um his AHL career looks like 195 games, 28 goals, 28 assists, 151 penalty minutes. Um, which is
On the bench.
really low for a lot of the guys that we have. Um, he did retire in 2019-2020 as a member of the Heilbronner Falcon, which is a professional team based in Germany. Um, in that season, he played 5 games, had a goal, 3 assists. In 2021, he ended his playing career, and he was hired on as in a minor league contract by the NHL for the 2021-2022 season, working a few games with veteran officials. Um, it looks like he's been doing some broadcasting stuff now and actual officiating as a referee. His first official NHL game was April 14th, 2022, between the San Jose Sharks and Chicago Blackhawks. So that's cool that he's still getting involved in the game of some aspect, as a ref, as a zebra, and he's only 34. 6'4", 190 pounds.
Damn.
Yeah, that's a
He's a
big
twig.
dude.
He's a
He's
twig. 190
tall but
pounds?
skinny. Tall but skinny.
Jeez.
A left-handed left winger. He spent time with the San Diego Gulls, so he ended up in the Ducks organization at one point. It's really cool. He started his career with the Hartford Junior Wolfpack, which for Connecticut residents is the closest thing we'll ever have to an NHL team again. That had to have been cool for him to start off in Connecticut and then play college in Connecticut. But it's funny that he was drafted by the Atlanta Thrashers, who are
What a team,
obviously
huh?
not a team anymore. The one fun fact I love to tell everyone: do you know who the all-time leader in points is for the Winnipeg Jets franchise? Ilya Kovalchuk. You know the funny part about that? Ilya Kovalchuk never played a fucking game for the Winnipeg Jets. He left
How?
before the team left the Atlanta Thrash. Before the team relocated from Atlanta to Winnipeg, he had left and had the all-time leading points for the Atlanta Thrashers, which transferred over to the Winnipeg Jets. So the joke is Ilya Kovalchuk, the Jet, which the only player in NHL
But,
history to lead a franchise in points and never play a game for that team.
and see, and that's one of the funny things about like hockey, right? Is there's so much movement with franchises that you get the funny little caveats like that, right?
Well, I mean, that stat's actually about to change because of the new Utah team. Um,
I'm
and
gonna be curious to see how that goes because
this
they're gonna be
fucking
based out of Salt Lake,
Stormin'
right?
Mormons. Yeah.
Wait, is that their name?
No, but it needs to be.
Okay, I was like,
Their
hold up.
uniforms need to be a fucking white dress suit with a black tie and black pants. Their team mascot needs to be Philip Rivers and his litter of fucking children.
Uh,
Just lean into the Mormon shit.
dude, have
LDS,
you ever been?
get on board.
Dude, have you ever been to Salt Lake City?
I haven't. I've never been to Utah.
Dude, it is wild. Like Temple Square, which
Yeah.
is like ground zero for the Mormon religion. Nuts.
Is
It's
it-
very cool, but it's gonna be interesting to have a hockey team there.
Yeah,
But
they're
they have
embracing it.
Well, and they have a very big downtown metropolitan area
Yeah.
that loves friggin' sports. Like I've
No,
been
they're
to
a
the
big sports town. I mean, obviously they have the Utah Jazz, obviously with the Premier Lacrosse League bringing the Utah Archers
yeah,
there. My Archers, my champion
dude. I've
Archers.
been in the Utah Jazz stadium. That
Yeah,
place
well
is huge.
that's where they're going to be, that's where the new Utah team is going to be playing. They have uh trademarked 8 names. We so there is a team name coming soon. I heard someone saying the Utah Hockey Club, and I'm like, I fucking hope not.
Ooh, no, God,
This isn't
mm-mm.
soccer. They
Right?
did that. A team did that in the National Lacrosse League. They're called the Panther City Lacrosse Club, and I'm like, I fucking hate that. I hate it.
No,
The
like
only
I said,
time
I
I
think
want
that's
that
that's
is
a
in
soccer
soccer.
thing.
That's all.
Yeah,
That's the only time I ever want that. I'm glad they
yeah,
didn't do that in the PLL. I would have cried if lacrosse
yeah.
teams started naming after um, soccer teams. I would have been sad. Um, but yeah, we're closer and closer to finding out the team name. I'm still petitioning for it to be the Storm and Mormons or the Soakers because that's funny too. They could thank D for that one.
I hate you right now.
No, you don't. You fucking love me.
That's so
This is why we're
gross.
friends, bro. This is why we're friends.
Can you imagine their mascot?
Just a fucking broken condom. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's Arizona State. Oh my god. Again, their celebrity mascot has to be Philip Rivers,
I'm
the
gonna find a meme
Mormon
for
himself.
you.
Oh my god. Dude,
God, my
all the jokes aside, I'm excited to see how this goes. I'm sad for the fans of the Arizona Coyotes, but at least they get to keep the Tucson Roadrunners. That's going to continue to be the minor league affiliate for the Utah team. But I'm here for it. Utah is becoming, or at least Salt Lake City is becoming a sports town. So
I'm
I'm
for it.
in. I'm in.
Honestly,
It's a
Salt
new
Lake City,
market.
beautiful dude.
It's a
Salt Lake City is a
brand new market.
beautiful town, beautiful area. That is a very sports focused community, and that is going to be a hell of a franchise.
Oh my god. And like
It's just going to be
there's a lot of
interesting.
talent there too.
Yeah. The interesting thing is where the Utah Jazz plays, that's not set up at all for hockey.
So
Not at all.
you have until September to
To
fix
figure your
that.
shit out. Dude, when I was so like in most stadiums that are like universal like hockey or whatever,
Yeah.
they leave the bottom half of the boards up permanently.
Well, yeah, in some arenas I know I have seen that when I went to Prudential Center in New Jersey. I went there for a WNBA game and they had some
Yeah.
of the boards up. Not all
Yeah.
of them, but some of them.
Where the Utah Jazz plays, they're not set up for that. They're set up to literally just be basketball court. That's it.
So they're going to be doing some renovation. And I mean, like, I love the new market, but like my thing with that is people were like, "Oh, of course, hockey doesn't fucking work in the desert." It's like, all right, well, Vegas has a team. You can't say it doesn't work in hot places either because you have the Nashville Predators. Florida has 2 teams. California has 3 fucking teams.
Say
Um,
call it the desert all you want, but Utah gets more snow than Maine.
yeah. Well, no,
They
it's
get
mainly so
hammered.
with it's a good excuse for people to say that hockey in the desert didn't work, which is why the Arizona Coyotes didn't work. And I was like, I've been to Las Vegas. That is a fucking desert and a half. And that
Oh
city
my god.
loves that fucking team.
Dude, I just figured out what their mascot could be.
What? A sperm?
Troy Bolton from
Troy
the
Bolton!
dude. They're gonna be right down the street from where they filmed High School Musical.
Fucking
I've been to
Zach,
that
can you
location.
imagine Zach Efron just showing up
Yes,
to games?
yes.
That would be brilliant. Oh my god, that would be so fucking brilliant.
Dude, they could play off of that and freaking have a whole generation already love them.
Oh god, I have to
It's
read
gonna
this. I have to read this after because this seems amazing.
oh, the
Um,
meme.
yeah.
That's all I can think of is the mascot would be the T-Rex.
The T-Rex. Oh my god, there are so many brilliant names. But I think that is all we have time for in this episode. Maul, bro, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. Um,
Dude, thanks for the invitation. I had a blast, dude.
oh, dude, it's always a great time. I couldn't have thought of anyone else to do this with. And it's funny, I have like a bunch of people that are like chomping at the bit to get on this too as a guest host. And I was like, Maul, you got first pick. Um, if you guys are watching us on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, let you know anytime we upload stuff. If you're watching us on Spotify or you're listening to us on any other podcast platform, give us a rating, give us 5 stars. That would be awesome, or whatever you think we deserve. Um, if you guys are still watching at this point, leave in the comments who your pick is for the Stanley Cup Finals. And what team do you think realistically is going to go after that number 10 pick with New Jersey? Anything to say before we end this?
No, thanks for the invitation. I had an absolute blast, and I hope that I get to come back next season for some more shows.
Hell yeah. And as I always love to end the show when I host, peace, love, puss suitor. We will see you mother puckers in the face off circle next week.